right, guys, welcome back to another BritTrack virtual panel. This time we're going to be talking about the worlds of Big Finish. That's right. Big Finish, the audio production company from England that has been taking the audio adventure world by storm with its wide range of marketable properties like Doctor Who, Blake 7, and all the other fascinating stories we're going to talk to you about within the next hour. First, I'd like to introduce you to my panelists. Over here to my right is Miss Janae McCaney. Miss Janae, say hi.
Hi.
And then down here, we have Mr. Brian Doob, all the way from the frozen north of Canada.
Hello there.
All right, guys. I appreciate everyone coming here tonight. Like I said, we are going to be talking about the worlds of Big Finish. And I'd just like to start off with kind of discussing some of the biggest properties they have. Janae, let's pick a big property that Big Finish does.
Definitely Doctor Who.
Definitely Doctor Who. Who doesn't like Doctor Who? So what's your favorite thing about the Doctor Who audios from Big Finish?
I like the classic ones the best. I'm in love with the Fourth Doctor, so that should be no secret to anyone. When they finally got the license for the newer Doctors, I thought it was interesting that Chris Eccleston came on board.
That was an amazing occurrence, wasn't it? Big Finish has a way of just kind of drawing people into it. Yeah. Brian, what about you and the Doctor Who franchise?
Well, talking about the new Doctor Who stuff, even before Eccleston came on, they had the late John Hurt recording for them and did some fantastic War Doctor audios. And they've now recast a younger version of the War Doctor, sort of a twist on things with Jonathan Carley, and have continued to do some fantastic Time War Doctor stories.
And he sounds just like a young John Hurt. It is uncanny how good he is.
Yeah, they really did a lot of work with his performance as well. And yeah, there are really some top flight stories there.
So if you like the War Doctor, then there's the original with John Hurt, and then there's the new with the younger. I'm sorry, the actor's name again?
Jonathan Carley.
Jonathan Carley, thank you.
And it's The War Doctor Begins is the name of the series with him. Several box sets now.
And then, of course, Janae's favorite, The Fourth Doctor, with Tom Baker. They're just recording, just using him to record all the way out for the next 3 or 4 years. So we're going to have adventures from him coming for a while.
Yeah, it really makes me miss Sarah Jane, though.
Yeah.
Yes, but then we, of course, have Sadie Miller, who was Elizabeth Sladen's daughter.
Exactly.
Who is taking over the role of Sarah Jane for Big Finish. How do you feel about that?
I'm glad they kept it in the family.
Yeah, if they're gonna do it, it's good that they're having her daughter do it. Just like the young lady who plays Carolyn John's role of Liz Shaw is her daughter. Now, one thing I didn't know is that her and the gentleman who plays the Master.
Jeffrey Beavers,
they're married and husband and wife. And
I did not know that.
Their daughter is the one who is now playing for Liz Shaw's character on Big Finish.
Yeah, that's Daisy Ashford.
Yes, Daisy Ashford. Yeah, we had that. We had a discussion in another panel that you'll see later on where we started calling her something else. But
yes, that was my fault.
Spoilers. So go and watch that one, guys. Stop messing about. All right. So, and the Doctor Who franchise, it just has a lot of sub genres within it. Janae, apart from the Fourth Doctor, what's your favorite Doctor Who topic within Big Finish?
Torchwood definitely is right up there on top, and then Yago and Lightfoot right after that.
Oh, yes, Torchwood. They do some really good stuff with Torchwood. including bringing in characters like Ace
Yes, that's
just
right.
recently. Yes.
And I think Yanto has a new series coming out.
Does he?
I
He's
think
coming out
so.
in something for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know that. And Jago and Lightfoot. I mean, the one episode
Yeah.
of the show, and they have what 14 series now.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually how I got hooked on Big Finish. I got a free download of Jago and Lightfoot, and I just got hooked.
Oh, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? The Companion Chronicle?
The Companion Chronicle.
Yeah,
Right.
That's a good one. The first one's free.
Yeah.
They really
can get you hooked. That's for
That's
sure.
right. They get you. They get you. All right, Brian. What is your favorite sub Doctor Who thing?
Well, once we're talking about spin-offs, I'll bring up Gallifrey,
Mm-hmm.
which has now been going on for many years.
Yes.
And started off being very much grounded in the sort of Tom Baker era with Romana and Leela and so on, K9, and has evolved and changed over the years and started getting into the Time War era. They have lots of different things that deal with the Time War. And yeah, it's covered a lot of ground with a lot of really interesting stories and lots of different things going on there.
Plus, I don't think I have to say it, but I will. Lala Ward is a goddess. I just love listening to her in the Gallifrey series because she's really comes out on her own. Not that she was a side character when she was on Doctor Who. She always gave the Doctor a run for his money, but she's really come to her own as a lead in the Gallifrey series.
Yeah, they've been able to give a lot of different characters more to do and a chance to grow beyond what they were able to do on TV with some other companions they've done that with as well, like Mel, for instance, and Adric. But also doctors like Paul McGann and Colin Baker and even Sylvester McCoy.
Now we're
talking
been able
about to develop things a lot more.
We're not talking about them being in Gallifrey, though. We're talking
now
about
we're
being
talking
in Big
more
Finish.
Right. It's more in the Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah. So yes, I love the way, especially I love Mel, the way she's developed in the Big Finish Doctor Who's, because on telly she was not my favorite companion at all. But she has really grown on me in Big Finish, and the way that they gave Colin and Paul chances to develop their doctors. And Colin Baker has done some amazing work as the Doctor in Big Finish. And if you never watched him, if you only watched his television appearances, you need to give Colin Baker a Big Finish a chance.
Yes.
Because he's a completely different attitude, and the growth that character goes through. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, they gave him the chance to do what he had wanted to do on television and really couldn't at that time. And that turned out to be really good.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about maybe a couple of newer things that's happening within that Doctor Who genre. I know that they just recently released the last of the 10th Doctor meeting past, was it Out of Time series?
Oh, yes,
the 10th
that's
Doctor
right.
meeting the past Doctors, yes. Janae, did you listen to the one with Tennant and Tom Baker?
I have not heard that one yet.
Oh, well.
That was good.
I say you go out and buy it right now. Well, wait till after the panel. But
what about the one with the Weeping Angels, and was it Tennant and Baker?
It was Tennant and Colin. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was really good too. And it's amazing how Big Finish is able to do characters like the Weeping Angels in audio when they're so
You
visual based.
you think of them as being so visual, but they work really well on audio. There
Mhm.
is a very recognizable set of sounds that go with them,
Mhm.
and you don't realize that as much until you start hearing it on audio, and it invokes that imagery so strongly.
Yes, it's amazing how they're able to do that. That's due a lot to their sound design and the musical scores, which one of my favorite things about Big Finish is that they tend to match the musical styles to the era.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a Fifth Doctor adventure, you'll get the kind of synth uh, jive sound. If you have an Eighth Doctor, it's more orchestral, and then of course, if you have like First or Second Doctor, I mean, it's amazing how they're able to just key it so it sounds like you're actually back in that time, listening to like a video recording.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is they'll do that, but also blend that style in with whatever fits that particular concept of that
Mhm.
audio. So if it's a big epic audio that deserves, something big and orchestral, they will use some of those elements along with
Mhm.
Fifth Doctor or Sixth Doctor elements. And they've become very good at blending those kinds of things together, which is quite something.
Mhm.
So, what do you guys think about the Master series?
Which one?
There are several
Well, I
now.
was
Several,
noticing that
yeah.
Eric Roberts. I didn't know
Yes.
that he had done one.
Yes, and he has a second one coming out, I think, later on this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm just go ahead, Brian. Sorry, I've been talking way too much.
it was good. It had the feel of his master from the TV movie with all the cheesiness of that, but at the same time made him sort of terrifying. And that was better than I expected it to be for sort of blending those things. And it was a really strong performance.
I agree. I think he, again, Big Finish has given us a chance to hear his character redeemed. Whereas in the television movie, as much as I loved it, I think of him more as Bruce the Galactic Despot.
Mm-hmm.
But especially in that his series Master, he's really become kind of terrifying.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when we get to see characters like the Master on his own without the Doctor, it
Mhm.
changes everything. It changes
Mm-hmm.
the tone of that and lets you do things that are, really strong in terms of storytelling that we wouldn't have
Mhm.
otherwise.
Speaking of which, Missy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the Missy series. They're just hilarious. I've been a fan of Michelle Gomez ever since I saw her on Green Room, like
Right.
12 years, 13 years ago now. And she was an insane character then. It's like they just took her character from Green Room and made her a Time Lord. And because she's just bonkers. And I kind of wish she had been the Doctor because I think she made
That would have been interesting.
a brilliant character. Yeah.
At the beginning of the Missy series, they did an episode where they went full out Mary Poppins with her
Mm-hmm.
as a governess, and that was great. That was one of the best things I've heard with Missy.
And in one of the River Song series, when the one where she's meeting all the masters, she meets Missy, and they bring up her time on the planet Tercerus, which is a reference to Curse of the Fatal Death, the Red Nose comedy short written by Stephen Moffat. That was what, 20 years ago?
99, I think. Yeah, it's
So
going back
yeah,
a ways.
so it was. I thought that was hilarious, and it's a good thing that I was able to keep control of my car when I heard it because it was so shocking. Janae, what do you think of the Master series?
I like them.
Yeah.
I really do. I like getting more into their psyche
Yeah.
without the doctors. It's interesting to see how they play off other characters other than just the doctor, because we know their relationship and their protagonism between each other. But to hear them with other characters is very interesting to me.
And then, of course, we have Alex McQueen, who is the Big Finish original Master.
Mhm.
And I think he just doesn't get enough screen time. What do you
How
have
many
you heard
series did he
his?
do?
He was in a few episodes.
Yeah, he was in
didn't really have a
several. Yeah, he was in that unit Doctor Who
yes,
thing
Doctor Who
initially.
Dominion.
The Dominion, that's right.
Yeah,
And then showed up in a number of main range things.
he was in then he was in Dark Eyes 2, 3, and 4.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
see, I've only heard him in Dominion.
Yeah.
Oh.
In Dark Eyes 3, I think it was, they did. He was the focal villain and was very good in that. And then they included him in the Master Anniversary set that had all of the Masters. He was in that too.
Yes. Yes, it's amazing. He does an amazing job. I would love to see his Master appear on screen at some point.
That would be something, yeah.
Yes. All right, I'm going to switch genres, and we're going to talk about another of Big Finish's big properties. And that's, for me, it's going to be Sherlock Holmes.
Ooh.
And I've been a Sherlock Holmes fan ever since the Grenada series from the 80s.
That was the Jeremy Brett series, right?
Yes, he is to this day my Sherlock Holmes, even though I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I've also seen Tom Baker as Sherlock Holmes in Hound of the Baskervilles. Because who hasn't? Peter Cushing, Gene Wilder as Sherlock Holmes' older, smarter brother. But Jeremy Brett is, whenever I read Sherlock Holmes,
right,
he's the Holmes that I imagine. He just has that appeal to me. Like, everyone has their own doctor. He's my Sherlock Holmes.
Now I have to say that Jeremy Brett is my film and TV Sherlock Holmes, but Nick Briggs is my audio Sherlock Holmes.
Nick Briggs does a great job.
And those are the Big Finish ones. With Richard Earle as Watson.
Richard Earle as Watson, yes. So, Janae, have you heard the most recent Sherlock Holmes episodes?
I have not heard the most recent.
That's okay. What's your? I keep bringing you out of that and hanging you out to dry, Janae. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying.
I don't mind being hung out to dry.
So
I listen to as much as I can, and I'm sure what I haven't listened to, you guys are more than welcome to school me on.
That's because Brian and I have no life.
Something like that, yeah.
So what's your favorite Sherlock Holmes series that Big Finish has done?
That's a hard question, because Sherlock Holmes is one of those things that I listen to with my son. And so when we get into discussions, it's difficult to narrow it down, because he's 25. So I've been watching Sherlock Holmes, 25 years longer than he's been alive, basically.
I was going to say 15, but
So tell me what your favorite one is.
Oh, mine, you know what? It goes between A Tangled Skein.
Okay.
The one with the adaptation with Dracula.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the series, but it's the one that covers the Ripper murders.
Yeah. Now, I do remember the one with Dracula.
Yes. I had that book decades ago.
Wow.
Right.
And Big Finish did an amazing job of adapting it.
Yeah, that was in, I think, their second season of them, where they did sort of a mix of Conan Doyle stories and stories from different people. That was an interesting collection of them, that particular season.
Yes, they were finding their footing on their own original Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it was sort of just after that that they jumped in with the Jonathan Barnes ones. And
Mhm.
he's been doing, I think, all of them since then as a writer. And it has a really interesting tone. He has the voice of Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes remarkably well.
Mhm.
And they've done some good things there. I think he started with the Perfidious Mariner, the one that was related
Oh
to the
yes,
Titanic,
the one that
and
was
that one I
yes.
thought was special because it sort of launched Big Finish onto their own brand of Sherlock Holmes with their own completely original stories and their own progression of them.
And it really brought, for me at least, Watson to the fore, because the
Yeah.
whole idea behind that is that spoilers for those of you who haven't listened to it, Watson's wife died on the Titanic, and it's not much of a spoiler because you learned that at the beginning of the story.
Right.
But the Perfidious Mariner, go and get it. It's a brilliant episode.
You're just trying to make me spend all my money. That's all you're trying to do.
You know what? Every time I mention Big Finish, they send me like a thousandth of a Bitcoin, and then. But yes, I'm again having no life and no kids. I have all of the Sherlock Holmes on download, and I'll just put them on in my car and go drive to back and fro from work, listening to them.
What they were able to do with the Sherlock Holmes releases is incorporate the narration from Watson in very much the way it was in the books.
Okay.
Yes.
And adaptations don't usually capture that.
Right.
And it adds some authenticity, and it brings something that was really an important part of the books and the whole style of it that is hard to capture in an adaptation. But they really sort of pushed that and made that a major part of it. I know some of the other earlier radio adaptations, and there were some that were quite highly acclaimed, didn't really capture that. And
Yeah.
that was sort of I feel a big deal that Big Finish was able to do that so well.
I agree. It's amazing how authentic it is, considering it's an audio drama that I'm listening to through a digital download here in the 21st century, well over 100 years after the original stories were written. So, and the Sherlock Holmes and Watson that we get in the series also made a brief appearance in the Doctor Who range in a story called The All-Consuming Fire with Sylvester McCoy.
That was one of the novel adaptations.
Yes, it's one of the Virgin novel adaptations, which are available at a discount for those who want to go check it out. Cha-ching! Thank you, Big Finish. But it's really good because you get Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, and the Doctor Ace, and my favorite audio companion and literature companion, Benny Summerfield. Who ironically has also her own series on Big Finish and was actually the first property Big Finish owned and made stories for. So if you Brian, tell us a little about Benny Summerfield and kind of her history, where she comes from.
Oh, okay, interesting. She was a companion for the New Adventures novels back in the 90s, an archaeologist who the Seventh Doctor befriends, and she travels with the Seventh Doctor. And that continued for quite a ways, and eventually, with Virgin Publishing losing the Doctor Who license, they had Bernice Summerfield traveling on her own as, a space traveling and sometimes time traveling archaeologist. And then that was what Big Finish picked up before they had their Doctor Who license, was these adventures with Bernice Summerfield on her own. And then when they did get Doctor Who, they continued those and also had adventures where she is traveling with the Doctor, and she traveled with about 3 different Doctors at different times, I think.
What was the first year that her series came out?
With Big Finish, it was in 98.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they started Doctor Who in 99.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Big Finish actually did Bernice Summerfield adventures kind of as a proof of concept to the BBC before the BBC gave them the rights to do Doctor Who. They said, do a good job on that, and then we'll see about selling you the rights to Doctor Who. So, yes. And they actually, time-traveling archaeologist, I mean, how familiar does that sound? There's a great episode in one of the multi-doctor stories. I can't think of what it's called, Brian. I know you know what I'm talking about, where they have Bernice Summerfield and Riversong.
Yeah, they had the two of them meet. You're right.
Yes. And it turns out that Riversong was a student of Bernice Summerfield.
Right.
I think I remember that.
Yes. It has the 8th
That was
Doctor
a fun one, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun one, yes. I love Benny. I love the fact that, especially in the All-Consuming Fire, because in the original novels, she kept a diary. So a lot of her parts from the novels are her reading from her diary.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and I love the fact that they had her diary kind of take place of the reminiscences of Watson during that audio story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Digging deep here, guys. Sorry. So what's another property that Big Finish has?
Well, a big one that I enjoy a lot is Survivors.
Oh.
And this is based on the BBC series from the 1970s, not the later remake, but the original run. And it is about what happens after a plague wipes out most of humanity. And it's not really about the disease itself or when people are dying from that, but about what happens next when you have a fraction of 1% of the population left, and all of that infrastructure of society is gone. What do the survivors do? And much like the original TV series did, it kept asking the question, what are these characters faced with, and how do they react to those things? And that brings up some really interesting questions and some fascinating drama. And it's one, I think it works well even if you've never seen that original TV series. It starts out with some original characters experiencing the beginning of the story, and then introduces the characters from the TV series with the original actors as people meet each other in this world.
Wow.
So that's one that I've really enjoyed. They did, I think, about 9 box sets of it, and then sort of let it rest for a while. And they brought it back now with things that are taking place quite a few years later. So you now have a new generation who doesn't remember what it was like before the death happened, and their attitudes and how they want to move forward with things. So that's one that gets really involved and has lots of good human drama in it. So that's one I really enjoy.
This was written by Terry Nation, right? The creator of the Daleks from Doctor Who.
The series was originally created by Terry Nation in, I think, 1975, before he created Blake Seven.
Mm-hmm.
So did they use
which
original scripts from the series and the audio series?
They did not use original scripts, but they brought in a lot of the original characters and sort of added in new stories in between, and stories with some of the characters that had been written out of the series partway
Mhm.
through, and sort of showed what happened to them next and this sort of thing.
hmm.
So yeah, they just sort of added a lot to what was happening there, and lots of things with whole new groups of characters as well.
Right.
Mhm. I haven't listened to a lot of Survivors. I think I only have the first 3 series. So I've got a lot to listen. I've got a lot to catch up with. Janae, I might be having to borrow some money from you to finish that part of my Big Finish collection.
I don't know. We'll have to dig deep and come up with some kind of sharing plan.
Just keep mentioning Big Finish. Maybe they'll start sending you Bitcoin as well.
Mhm.
So, Janae, come up. What is another property that Big Finish has that you're a fan of?
I like Dark Shadows.
Oh,
Again, another one that I haven't listened to a lot of. Tell us about it.
I like the fact that it talks about the Collins family the way I remember it growing up, because that was one of the things we watched when we were little. And I think that the audio series that Big Finish has been way more true than the remake and the Johnny Depp movie, which was horrible.
Now, for those who don't know what Dark Shadows is, could you give us kind of a brief synopsis?
It is the story of the Collins family, and Barnabas is the head of the family, and he is a vampire who very few members of the family know that he is a vampire, but it dwells on how his past, present, and future intertwines with the previous family members that have passed away and new family members who don't realize that he's a vampire.
Wow, that sounds really good.
And it's a vampire, so you can't really go bad with that.
Yeah, that's one of the few American series that
Mhm.
they've based things on, and I think they had a number of original series actors in there too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please don't ask me to name them.
No, that's all right.
But yes, they did. But it's just amazing to me, the longevity. I know Doctor Who has a great longevity, but it's just amazing to see other series that have had that longevity. Because the original Dark Shadows was in the 60s and early 70s. So
almost as long as Doctor Who. And I know it was on telly for a long time.
It was
10 or 12 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually, I think, doesn't Pluto TV have a Dark Shadows channel or something like that now?
Oh, I'm sure they do. They have a channel for just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're interested in supernatural drama / horror, then you couldn't go wrong with Dark Shadows.
I think that's a good assertion.
Years ago at a convention, it's just a bit of a side note, I met Jonathan Frid, who played the original Barnabas Collins. Yes, he was at, I think, a fantasy fair here in Atlanta back in the 80s. I'm showing my age there. Wow. But yeah, I wasn't a Dark Shadows fan, but my aunt was. So I got him to autograph a Dark Shadows joke book.
Wow.
And gave it to her for her birthday. Yes. So she was a huge Dark Shadows fan because that was of her generation. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was just way into Doctor Who at that point.
The first supernatural soap opera is what I like to think of it as.
That's what it was. Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So another property I'd like to bring up is their Jerry Anderson series of properties. So for those of you who don't know, Jerry Anderson was a producer of some amazing TV back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Most notably, Space 1999. He did Terrahawks. Mm-hmm. He was Captain Scarlet and the Mysterians.
Don't forget Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds. Well, they are go.
They are.
And then UFO. And all of those series are now properties that Big Finish produces original
Mhm.
adventures for. And on some of them, they get some of the original actors, but on others, like Space 1999 and UFO, they completely recast, but they do such a good job that you don't care, because they do a great job of adapting the stories and coming up with the original stories.
Yeah, I think some of those they're doing adaptations of earlier novels and things, and some they're doing originals.
Mm-hmm.
But for Space 1999 and now for UFO, they're taking the approach of doing almost like a remake where they do something that is definitely still that property, but a little bit of a twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do some brand new stories, and they'll also remake some of the original stories, but do them so they're just a little bit different. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll come up with some sort of different angles on things, and those are really quite neat. They just started doing UFO, and what I thought was fascinating was where, with the original TV series from about 1969 or 70, when that show started, and it's this secret military organization defending the Earth from aliens, everything is up and running and working smoothly, and everything is
Mm-hmm.
tip-top shape right from the beginning. Well, that's not how they did it in the audios.
Mhm.
In the audios, it starts with the main character, Ed Straker, first discovering that this stuff is going on, and then being brought into the system and
Shadow.
given
Yeah.
into Shadow, and being given command of Shadow, and they are still building their systems and trying to
Mm-hmm.
get to the point that they were at the beginning of the series. And that I thought was really interesting, and
Mm-hmm.
added sort of a sense of tension and a heightened sense of threat that was just a little
Mhm.
bit different from what we had before.
Mm-hmm. Because the aliens are so all-encompassingly powerful, and humanity is struggling uh, to not stop them, basically, but to just figure out what the heck they're doing before they can stop them. So yeah, it's really good series. Plus, the actor who's playing Ed Straker, his name is Barnaby Kay, and I love him. He did a podcast for BBC Four called The Lovecraft Investigations,
Mhm. I've
which
heard of that.
yes. So if you like, again, uh, kind of horror, suspense, or you know, any Lovecraftian themes, you're going to love this series. BBC Four Lovecraft Investigations. Again, just a little bit of a sidetrack, but yes, he plays Ed Straker, and he does an amazing job.
They cast that really well.
He really did.
The woman who plays Virginia Lake in it is very good as well.
Mm-hmm.
And across the board, that was a cast that really hit the ground running on that. That's
Mm-hmm.
quite a neat one. We've only had the one box set so far.
Yes, we have. But another one's coming out. Is it December, or is it coming out early next year?
I'm not sure. We do have another one announced and on the way, available for pre-order.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which I already have.
Me too.
Yeah. So who wants to bring up another property that Big Finish is doing?
How about the Avengers?
I was gonna.
This is
How about the Avengers? I love
this is
Iron
going
Man
right
and
back.
Thor and the Hulk. You just never seen it until you see the Hulk in a bowler. I swear. No,
Not those Avengers.
you're talking about the real
The
Avengers.
real Avengers.
Yeah.
Yes.
The ITV series that started in 1961. So this
Mhm.
is one of the earliest TV properties that Big Finish are covering, I think.
Mhm.
And it is a spy show
Mhm.
that features John Steed, or sometimes just called Steed,
Steed.
with a variety of co-stars. Sometimes it's Dr. Keel. Very often it's Emma Peel or Tara King. And these are spy stories done in this 1960s style, depending which group of them you're looking at, that varies. But with the Emma Peel and Tara King ones, they tend to be somewhat out there spy-fi type stories that have a lot of humor in them. And they were really able to bring back a lot of the spirit of that show, which was really lovely.
I loved watching the original Avengers on telly when I could find it, because I love Patrick McNee.
I love Patrick McNee too.
Yes, and it was a loss when when he passed on and went to the great spy house in the sky. But oh my goodness, the actress who played Emma Peel,
Diana Rigg,
who we recently lost her as well.
Yes.
But modern people would know her from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right.
Where she played Tyrell, right?
Yes, I think.
See,
so.
This is why I'm not on the Game of Thrones panel, folks. But yes, they've recast her, of course, with Brian. I'm sure you know the name of the actress, but I can't think of her at the moment.
Yes, I should know. Olivia. I'm sorry, I've lost
Olivia.
it.
Olivia Bolivia. That's who it is. So, if you think I'm wrong, then look it up. That's what Google's for. But yes, and in those cases, they don't try to do, and they never try to do impersonations.
Yeah.
But they do their own take on the characters, and I think that works out better. In the long run.
Yeah, Steed sounds very much like he did in the original show. Emma Peel sounds different, but the character is all there. She's still very much Emma Peel.
Yes,
and her character is still groundbreaking when you listen to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because she was doing things on TV that women spies just didn't do back then. They looked pretty and seduced somebody rather than got involved in the action.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you brought up the Avengers, Brian. We're gonna again shift gears because we're coming near the end. We have about 15 minutes left, but I'd like to talk about series that Big Finish have lost and that we might like to see come back, and that kind of happened recently with the return of Stargate.
Yeah. And also the return of Robin Hood, the BBC Robin Hood. They got that back too.
Yes. So those are two series that they did years ago, and then they lost the rights to, and now they're back.
Once again, you can buy those Stargate audios, which are very good ones too.
So what are some series that Big Fish used to do that you would like to see come back?
I would love to see the Tomorrow People come back.
Yes.
Which was big 1970s, very much children's sci-fi story. And it ran for years in the 70s, for much of the 70s. And Big Finish was able to take that and sort of start with the kind of thing that they were doing back then, maybe a little bit more refined, and they gradually made it more layered and more adult. And they ended up with some really hard-hitting stuff and had some really good stuff. And unfortunately, because they lost that license quite suddenly, it ended on a cliffhanger, which we've been waiting to hear the conclusion of since, I think, 2007 or something.
But we're used to that with British stuff.
I guess,
Sharp
yeah.
Blake 7. Sorry.
But that's the one I'd love to see for sale again, and that I'd love to see them continue.
Excellent. Janae, what about you?
Mine is more of a question because I only heard limited series for it. But what about Dorian Gray?
That's actually still a current
That's still
property.
available.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, they have a new series of The War Master coming out where through stuff,
Oh, that's right.
he not only comes into contact with Dorian Gray, but with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Wow.
And I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens because I'm not quite sure. But get it from Big Finish. Cha-ching. Thank you, guys.
There's also a one-off Confessions of Dorian Gray, a new one coming out soon too.
Yes.
So they are still they stopped doing the main run of it, but they are still occasionally dipping back into it.
Okay.
But those are all available, and they're very good. It's the Confessions of Dorian Gray, and it is, well, sort of what it says. It's from his point of view, confessing the things
that Dorian
various
Gray
things
does.
that happen.
Yes. Some of them were quite chilling.
Yes.
Some of them are chilling. Yes. It's very gothic.
And it continued his life well past what we had in the original novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. They also adapted The Picture of Dorian Gray itself.
It goes into modern times, and there's even kind of a crossover with Bernice Summerfield that takes place in the year 2500 on a different planet.
Wow.
And they did a Sherlock Holmes crossover. They did a number with Dorian Gray. Yeah. For a little while, he was their character that sort of dipped into everything.
Yes. A series that I would love to see Big Finish get back are the Judge Dredd audios.
Right.
I started getting into Big Finish right when they were just about to lose those properties for good. And I have a few that I'm still able to access. But there were others they were already out of print, and I couldn't get them for love or money. But they're so well done, as is almost anything Big Finish does. And
that was on 2000 license for the 2000 AD comics. So they had not only Judge Dredd, but they had Strontium Dog,
which was
played by Simon Pegg.
Yes,
and that was something special.
Who's the voice for Judge Dredd?
Toby Longworth.
Yes, and he's another one of those vocal chameleons like John Coleshaw, who can just do a variety of parts in the same series, and you would never know. There is, in fact, one episode of the Judge Dredd series where he's the only voice, the only actor in it. It's like, I think this is the last episode that they did. He's the only actor
It's called Solo.
Yes.
And it was not narrated. It was done like a full cast drama.
Wow.
But he does every voice in it. And they're all distinct. And it wasn't like him doing 2 or 3 parts. It was like him doing a couple
15
dozen
or
parts
20.
or something.
Yeah. Talk about schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It was done like a murder investigation kind of story. So he's going around talking to everyone.
And then answering himself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. So I'm going to give us one more question. What properties would you love to see, original properties, would you love to see Big Finish bring into the fold in the future? Janae?
Come back to me on that one.
Okay. Brian?
So things based on TV series?
Or whatever. If they were to bring a series into the Big Finish fold, whether it be based on TV, movie, radio, books, what would you like to see them do?
I think The Blacklist.
Oh, the one with what's his name from
Spader,
James Spader. Yes. Okay.
I would love to see like a prequel of how Red got to be that way.
Okay. What about you, Brian?
I'd love to see them do something with Black Mirror.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that the sort of concepts that it's built around could be really interesting and on audio and the way Big Finish
Mhm.
uses audio.
Hmm. And maybe an altered carbon type thing too.
That could also
I,
be interesting.
I would love to see them do tripods.
Yeah, there has been talk about that.
Yes.
About finishing the series. There was that third book
Mhm.
that was never adapted.
Because the original the television series that was based on the books, they did the first two books and then again ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I would love to see them not just do that third, but probably just go ahead and do all three.
Yeah.
And just release it as 3 box sets. I think that would be wonderful.
There was talk about when the TV series was released on DVD about doing that third series
Mhm.
as audio to be included with the DVDs, and it was just too expensive for them to do it
Yeah.
as on the DVD budget.
Mhm.
But there has been talk at different times about them doing that.
That would be really good. They could bring in the original cast and do the audios, do it justice. Yeah. All right, so we are almost out of time. So, Miss Janae, uh, what sort of things you up to these days that you might want to tell everyone about?
Well, a friend of mine and I started a LLC called Contractor, and we are going to be accepting submissions from minors and adults regarding their convention experiences. So we're
Interesting.
working on that.
All right, and we'll have more information on that just before con.
Exactly. We're going to launch a Facebook page and a website right before con.
Excellent. All
So
right.
I guess stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We're very excited about it. Very excited.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right, and Brian, where can we find more of your dulcet goodness?
Still podcasting with British Invaders. We have been running the show for over 15 years now. We recently passed 400 episodes.
Wow.
And
Wow.
talking about all sorts of British sci-fi TV shows and related genre TV shows, from the obscure to the well-known. We've done, I think, well over 150 different shows now, and talking about lots of things that no one else is talking about, and some things that other people are talking about too.
Excellent. Awesome. And if you want to find out more about the BritTrack, you can find us at Facebook and just look for the BritTrack at DragonCon. We're also on Twitter at BritTrack, BritTrack. We are also on Instagram at DC BritTrack. Plus, you can find us our YouTube channel. Just again, look for the BritTrack at DragonCon. We have several virtual panels from the last couple of years. We have old videos from even longer. We have lots of just goodies and surprises. So just come and check us out. I tell you what, folks, we have just barely touched on what you can find out on Big Finish. We haven't even talked about their classic book series. We haven't talked about the H.G. Wells series that they did. We haven't touched anything about their original stories. Plus, they do interviews with classic actors like Tom Baker,
really
Colin
do.
Baker, Sir Derek Jacobi.
Yeah.
So
Carolyn Seymour,
Carolyn
Pierce.
Seymour, yes, Jacqueline Pierce. So there's so many things that you can go to Big Finish and just check out. And a lot of it is on sale. They run sales constantly.
They do.
When Doctor Who is on the air, they try to tie it in the Doctor Who stuff at least to what's going on the series. But year round, you're going to find new sales pretty much every week.
And quite a few are being released on vinyl for those of you that don't like
That's
vinyls.
true.
So if you're one of those neo-Luddites who likes to have your records, then you can find a lot of their adventures on vinyl. And a few of the Doctor Who episodes are actually available in German. Some
Oh,
of the
that's right.
for the
Yeah.
10th Doctor Adventures, they've actually released German versions, much like Monty Python episodes. So if you sprechen Sie Deutsch, unlike me, obviously, you can check it out and listen to Doctor Who in German. The only chance I got from that was from the episode with the Daleks in Germany and the Osterhagen key. But I am definitely off the track. Folks, Janae, Brian, thank you for joining me with us tonight. And
Thank you for having us.
to our audience.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you in real life at DragonCon. And until then, have a wonderful evening and just have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care, folks. Bye.
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 Watch my disappearing hand.